Are you excited about the button?
I believe we may be live. Every time we do this, I have to laugh at myself. Live and I are not the best of
Are you
friends.
excited about
You'd think by now I would have this figured out, but I do not, and I don't know what it is. But anyways, we are definitely live now. Welcome everyone.
And I'm excited that we're live. Really excited.
Oh goodness, we were just having an amusing conversation about fear. And I was saying that, well, first of all, welcome. I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You. And Deb, do you want to introduce yourself?
And I'm Deborah Epstein of the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge, which I happen to be sitting in front of today. The last few
Yes.
weeks I haven't been. So yeah, it's cool to be back in front of the altar with the guides.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I love that space. I love that space. I can't wait to see it in person.
One
So we
day.
were just talking about fear, and I was saying how outdated I felt the statement, feel the fear and do it anyway. It feels very 90s to me.
Mhm.
And I think that actually might be when the book came out. It's been around longer than that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's got to be something deeper. There's got to be like a new way of like, because yeah, we want to feel it. And I think Deb, you said honor it,
Hmm.
and and we still want to do it, but without that like force of, I don't know. I don't want to be forced. I'm not a really good one. Don't tell me what to do. I tell my own self that all the
Just
time.
tell me to
Tell
feel the
me what to
fear.
do.
Yeah, I am gonna do it. Yeah, but I think, yeah, it's like because we were trying to come up with like what would a new phrase for like we're
Hmm.
heading into a new year, right? 2024. I know you are feeling the energy that is in the ethers right now and like what's coming, and
Yes,
and
I
I'm sure
feel it.
everybody is too. Yeah. And we're all having our own experiences of the same energy. And yeah, it can conjure up fear, which makes us want to control, right? And then yeah, the just do it anyway, right? I think, if we can start understanding that when we get a calling for this thing that we want to do, that our mission, I think a lot of us that are on this call listening right now feel that deep calling to be of service. And then what gets kicked up, we all want to really be of service, but then we have this like not enough thing, and that's our fear starting to talk, right? And so what we end up creating is scenarios and situations that keep reinforcing I'm not enough. Because if I was enough, I'd be able to create this. I wouldn't have the fear of creating it, right? And
Hmm.
so, like, yeah, a statement like, feel the fear and do it anyway. A lot of us might be thumbing our nose at that one,
So
because
true. It's so
because
true.
the fear doesn't go away. You get comfortable, like, we talk a lot about when we're on here on the live, like, you know, I remember the very first live I did and I felt terrified. I felt like I was on a firing line and everyone was going to like shoot me. I was just going to be shot for, I had to work through that fear to get to the place where I'm now like, I don't care,
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just did a challenge last month, November,
Hmm.
in my community and on being seen, being heard, right? So
Hmm.
basically just that. It's like getting comfortable with being out there because I was terrified, like absolutely. And I did do some hypnotherapy first. That's how
Hmm.
terrified I was. And then I still had to work through because I came from that space of not enough, right?
Hmm.
My brother's a model. He's a dancer, a big star in Europe. And we didn't buy, family photos because I wasn't photogenic. So I came from that,
Yeah.
and so, and then, that never enough thing and being afraid to show up,
Hmm.
like, and it's about being afraid to be seen, right? We might have
Hmm.
this important message, but that fear of being seen. Now I can't even imagine being like that. Like I really can't imagine it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We step into new things to be afraid of, but That one is definitely not there. As you can see, I make an absolute fool of myself half the time. I show up.
It's how you work through that though, because I can, I remember doing like a Facebook Live and just everything was going wrong, and I'm like, I could be giving up right now, but I'm not going to. I don't care what you guys think of me. If anything, I hope you're going like, wow, look at she just doesn't give up.
She just sticks it out forever.
She's either a sucker for punishment or
Oh, it's true.
fill in the
It's true.
blank. Yeah. So I
So it,
see people are hopping on. So like, yeah, feel free to jump in the chat, say hello. What do you think about that statement? Like, feel the fear, do it anyway. Do you have one like, that you'd love to throw an idea in that might be an updated version of that? That's
mhm.
2024 friendly.
I would love to know. I'm trying to find chat. Did they move the chat? Go to the chat.
I don't know. I'm looking at it on my phone. So I
Okay.
actually turned my phone um sideways, like landscape, and it popped in on the side. So I'm like, oh, that's
Well,
different. That's kind of cool.
that's
I can see
typically where
us.
I
So
have it.
2024 friendly.
All right. I got nothing. I don't know where it is, but oh, wait. It's here now. All right. I
Awesome.
said to push a
See?
lot of buttons. There is a thing about me and buttons lately. I don't know what the message is, but please can we just like get it so that I can stop this? Buttons and I have not been getting along for about 2, 3 weeks now. I push all the buttons. I don't push any of the right buttons. It you would think I'd have this figured out, but nope, not a thing. Anyways, yes, please use the chat that I have now found.
Yeah, just say
Know what you
hello, where
think.
you're from,
All of
maybe
those things.
what brought you here or what you think about this topic of fear and creating from love and power. Yeah,
Mm,
we're gonna hit all the gamuts. I was sharing with Larissa when we were talking a little bit beforehand about the difference, like that razor thin line between excitement, exhilaration, and then fear. And I was using an example of first time I ever went on a roller coaster. I went on it with my mom. I don't remember how old I was, but I was, I guess like 8 or 9. Not never been on a roller coaster, like an adult roller coaster before. And
mhm.
how when I was on with my mom, she was like screaming. I thought someone was going to kill her. And I was like, I was terrified, terrified. Like, we're both going to die. Oh my God. Later on in the day, my dad talked me into going in on with him because he figured like it's not that bad. It was just my mom and how she does thrill. I just didn't get that. I went out with my dad and he's like laughing, laughing, laughing the whole way. And I started laughing too. It was like contagious. And
Mhm.
I thought, like, thank God that he talked me to go on because I probably never would go on another roller coaster. Not that that would be a bad thing, but there was a lesson for me in there about like fear of dying and,
Yes.
and then the exhilaration of living,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point too, though. Like who you surround yourself with when you're going through something, right? If you're surrounding
Yeah.
yourself with people who are terrified and going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, or do you
Mhm.
surround yourself with the people who are like, yeah, go ahead, try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Mhm. Mhm.
It really makes a difference. Really makes a difference in how we face fear. I mean, we're fed fear at every turn. Our whole world is based on
Yeah.
fear.
You just open up your phone and if you get news feed notifications, they're fear-based no news notifications. It's like, yeah, oh, that's nice. Delete.
We have a ban thing going on because Canada, you had to have certain amount of Canadian content and all of those sort of things, and then they had to pay the Canadian news companies, and so they all said nope. So we don't get the news in our social media feed and all of that anymore.
Oh,
We have to go
wow.
looking for it, and I didn't realize how much it affected me until it went away, and I'm like,
Interesting.
huh. Yes, I'm okay with it not being fed to me all the time, right? I can choose to go and seek it out, although I
Hmm.
sometimes miss some important things, but I'm okay with that because I don't feel like I'm living in that anxious state of what's happening. Oh my goodness, I need to know more
Hmm.
about this, all of those things. Jocelyn, I like let your faith be stronger than your fear. Oh, I like that one too. Let your faith be
Yeah, I like
stronger
that
than your
too.
fear.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I need something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, our whole world is just like we're immersed in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no wonder that we're afraid to try anything. And our brains just go straight to you're gonna die
You're gonna
anytime we try
die.
something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
It's like,
So like
no.
what that tells me is like maybe we need to start getting good with death because ultimately, no one's getting out of here alive. Moving on to
Isn't
the
that the
next
truth?
world. Right. And
Yeah.
so maybe that's part of it too, getting good with death. So, like, yeah, don't do that because you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But
And
what Jocelyn said made me hi from Kansas. Hi,
yeah.
Jocelyn from Kansas and hi, Kansas. It made me think of something my mentor said used to say to me too, like when fear would come up, he'd whisper to me, "You're bigger than your fear." And I'd laugh and go, "You don't know how big my fear is." But I like that too. You are bigger than your fear. Because
Mm,
fear is usually what? Something coming from an illusion. And there's an acronym like false evidence appearing real is
yes.
fear, right? False evidence appearing real. And usually, like, we base it on something that happened in our past because we haven't healed our past, or we're still cycling that past
Mhm.
trauma or experience, even if it's not a trauma, but it's an experience that you had a certain specific outcome with, you know,
Mhm.
like, just think of anything benign, like maybe not benign, like I married the wrong man or whatever, I'm like never going to date again for fear of that happening. But like when if that were the case, this is a kind of a silly one. Just think of like you might be robbing yourself of the joy of a really awesome relationship because you're basing all relationships, present and future, on what your past had to,
Mm,
past experience was, and so where else do we do that? What other places? Well, I'm not going to do that because, somebody yelled at me one time for that, so yeah,
mhm.
I'm not going to go there again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try that because, X, Y, or Z could happen. Well, what if
Hmm.
X, Y, or Z happened?
Yeah.
Really? You know, I don't, I think that's the thing. We build these things up even larger. Like, okay, so I'm not going to quit my job and start a business because, I might end up broke.
Hmm.
Okay, so what happens if you end up broke? Well, I have to get a job. Okay, well, you have a job right now and you want to do something different. So could you go do something different and then get a job if you ended up broke?
Hmm.
Or, whatever stories we tell ourselves. And it's like, well, what would happen if that scary thing happened? Because right now you're absolutely miserable. I think of my mother-in-law and thinking, and she doesn't watch this. I think
I'm
of
gonna I'm gonna send it to her.
and she just, constant fear of like the what ifs, and it's like, okay, but what if you did the thing? What would happen? What would happen? Just breathe and do the thing
Yeah, I
instead of,
like that. There you go. Just breathe and do the thing.
oh, just breathe and do the thing. Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
I love that.
All right, just breathe and do the thing. Yeah,
I want to see that on everybody's social media post tomorrow.
just breathe and do the thing. Now I have to go and make a graphic and like share this far and wide. Oh,
Maybe
but
that's
it's
the title
true.
of your new book, right?
Just breathe and do. Oh my goodness! Now look at now. Like I need another book
She's gonna
idea.
write it down. Yeah.
Just I am. My brain. I can't keep anything in there.
You guys saw it here first. So actually, like I love like, let's get some interaction going because, that's kind of we're having fun, but like what is the thing? What is the thing that you want to do that you're not doing that
Mm,
you feel like, I don't want to say urgency, but sometimes it does. It feels like an urgency if I don't get it out. But
mm,
I'm being stopped by my fear or something. Put in a thing that if you had complete, I'll say faith, but if you had complete knowledge, like a precognition that
Mhm.
everything was going to work out perfectly, what is it that you would create? What is
Mhm.
it that you would create? So I'd love
Yeah.
to, get brave, put it out there because, when you put it out there too, we all witness it and now we start putting energy on
Uh-oh.
it. So be
Uh-oh.
careful, be careful. You
But
might
that's
just
exactly
create it.
it. I,
Yeah.
I'm a very much a believer in that. And I have friends who, you're friends forever and you wonder why sometimes because they're in the same place, you know, and
Hmm.
you get together once in a while and they're like, I can't believe you've done this and this. I can't believe you haven't. I can't believe you haven't done anything new.
Hmm.
What? What? But yeah, because it's absolute fear. I think every single person, I know every single person has a purpose here. And that
Oh
doesn't mean
yeah.
you all have to work for yourself because, that's a whole other thing. But everyone has a purpose.
Hmm.
But I think the majority, so I believe everyone has a purpose. I do think that the majority don't live that purpose
Hmm.
because they just are afraid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I
what is
think
your
if you're
purpose?
listening, if you're here and you're listening to this, that you have an interest in art, you have an interest in creating because you probably found yourself. I mean, I guess you could have found yourself here by accident,
Mhm.
but I always think there's no accidents. So
You're here for a
that
reason.
Larissa and I work with people who are mission and purpose driven, or want to be, or working towards that. So I'm thinking that you guys have stuff that you really want to bring out into the world that maybe you haven't. So
Hmm.
Jocelyn says, I'm working through all the what ifs right now as well. Christina
Hmm.
says, hi from Melbourne. Hi, Christina.
Yes.
Yeah,
Time is
they're
it there?
going
I
into
feel like it's really early there.
they're going
Uh,
into summer.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer solstice is coming up for you, winter solstice for us.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's absolutely true that, the people who probably hang out, listen to us occasionally, are in our communities, do have something under there, or they wouldn't be in our communities. They wouldn't be
Hmm.
following us. So
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, so then what is it? What is that thing that you
Yeah.
are, you know, maybe wanting, needing,
Yeah.
hearing,
Yeah.
what's come to you that
Afraid
you're
to
ignoring?
create or afraid that you're
Mhm.
not going to create. Yeah. Where's your
Yeah.
fear around it? Because we are talking about fear too, fear and control. So yeah, what is some of the fear? If you don't want to mention what you're wanting to create, what is some of your fear? And we'll start addressing it. But we talked about I love it. My vision is to turn my home into an art retreat and run a worldwide artistic program
Who cares?
for carers. Awesome.
All right, what's
Desperately want
stopping
to
you?
work with women who have experienced trauma. Yeah. So now, thank you for putting that in there. Now, what is the block for you? What is the fear around getting to work on that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's near.
And
Oh, she answered you too, 10 a.m.
10
Tuesday
10
morning.
a.m. on it's not as bad as I thought with the
Yeah.
time change probably. Um, yeah, I think that is so what is stopping you? And there's always going to be, and I did the same. Okay, so I'm not, no judgment.
Mhm.
The, well, I have bills to pay, or I have kids to look after, or I have, a partner I have to check in with. Yeah, just attracting the financials, all of those sort of things.
Yeah.
and and we put a lot of attention on those things that we don't have, that we're lacking, that we need before we can do, and we put a lot of attention on that. And so of
Hmm.
course we keep pushing it away because we keep ourselves in that space of lack.
Hmm.
And I know for my own self I did the same thing, and until I lost my job. And this was just before COVID, so it was October before COVID. And I had been doing Creative U off the side of my desk and was like, oh yeah, when I get to a certain point, I'll quit my job and blah blah blah. And I lost my job in the October. And I was like, well, sink or swim, we're doing this. And here it is, 5 years later, and I'm still here. 4 years, 5 years, I don't know how many years, but I'm still here. I'm still making it, not a multimillionaire or anything, but I am here. So I'm working through my own stuff and my own layers. But I think sometimes that's what it takes. That's why those things happen, those things that we think are so horrible, right? Like like so many people were upset for me. I was actually very excited. So many
Hmm.
people were, so upset for me, including my partner.
Hmm.
Like, oh my God, you lost your job. What are you going to do now? Well, I'm going to do my business.
Hmm.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it could be just a gift from,
Hmm.
once we get past the fear of like, oh my God, what am I going to do for money? You know, what you're talking about, and I actually just looked this up because it just made me think of this quote. This is what motivated me. And like, I can't think about how long ago it was. It was like kind of when I started my MFR journey years ago. It was a quote from Goethe. It's until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back concerning all acts of initiative and creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits to oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can do it. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. That to me was so inspiring that like when I start feeling down in the dumper, I go, oh yeah, that's a great reminder because that's true. And it's like, yeah, even a job loss where you go, oh my God, that's an initiation right there because you get to move through the fear of having that steady paycheck to like seeing that, oh my God, I can do this. Like I can create and generate a
Hmm.
flow of income through my business where I was maybe, staying in my job might have just kept me too small and I'd still be here if I didn't,
Hmm.
get that help, that nudge out of the nest, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And and that's the thing. I'm just watching the comments come in, and I'll address them in a second. But when we think we're waiting, we have to wait for this, that, or the other thing. And usually it's money. Money is usually the thing that holds us back. That
Yeah, I
money's
would say
not going to
number
come
one. Yeah.
until we take that leap of faith, and then it starts to show up step by step. And then, as you do more and more work around it, it can start to show up larger and larger. But it's not going to show up when we're coming from that place of lack, right?
Hmm.
And what we put our attention to is what we're drawn to. And
Right.
and so looking at Christina said yes, just tracking the financials. Being a full-time career has distracted me, but watch the hell out because I'm moving towards it quickly. I love that. Starting the vision, booking the layout. Um,
Nice.
I know I need a large amount of money. I believe I'm drawing it into me one miracle at a time. I love that too. Jocelyn, I'm worried people will expect me to have all the answers for them and then I will let them down. Oh, yes, I understand
Yeah,
that.
well, I can tell you being a being a coach and a healer, it's like you're not going to have the answers. They do. They do.
Yes.
We all
Yeah.
know it's your job is just to help them find it. That's all. We
Hmm.
don't give anybody, I don't know if you know about you, yeah, but
I
I
give them
know,
all the
I
answers.
know. Yeah. No, we don't know. I always act like I don't know anything because I don't. That's how I stay connected with spirit too, because when I get into what I think I know, that's up here,
Hmm.
and this doesn't really know anything. This is binary. This is past and future, worry and all that kind of stuff. Down here is your portal to the all the wisdom, but we all have that. We all have this ability to tap into the wisdom of spirit because we're all spirit, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, awesome. And Christina, what I'm like looking at with you is like, um, I've uh, my husband and I are bootstrapping a business, that we've like maxed out credit cards and, turned in some retirement and all that kind of stuff. But we're now starting to see the beginnings of a return coming in, and it's really exciting. And we're like right in that place where it's nail biting. We're biting our nails, and it's like now like spirit saying like, Deb, take a rest. Take a
Mhm.
rest. And I'm like, what? I can't take a rest. But like, I wouldn't have chose this time for me to take a rest. But
Mhm.
like I'm sitting in here taking a rest. I did go through a little illness. Like I felt like I had to take the rest that way. But like now that I'm kind of getting better off of that, I'm starting to see like, okay, well, we didn't die. We didn't, lose our house because I chose to take a rest. It's actually what it's doing for me is really amplifying my creativity for whatever's next for me. And I
Mhm.
don't know what that is. And so that's the faith part, right? Who said that? Faith thing.
Jocelyn, let your faith be stronger than
Jocelyn
your
did.
fear. Yeah.
Faith, yeah, you let your faith be stronger than your fear. Yeah, so it's a total like that's, it's so funny because I didn't like even think that we would be ending up talking about faith.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, when you look at fear, like maybe the opposite of fear is faith. Faith doesn't make your fear go away. It's just it's an energy, right? That helps you stay connected with what you're here to create. Fear's not our enemy, right? It's
Yeah.
just I think it's getting it into the proper proportions because you're not running for your life from anything when you're creating a business, even though sometimes it feels like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I know you and I have talked about this before, but as you felt the need to take a little rest and step back,
Mhm.
well, Dave's business started to take off, right? Like, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we're still taken care of. It's just the
Hmm.
energy is going somewhere else now. I can do this because of this, right? And so
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
it's just allowing. But if you had been pushing through and then you might have been distracting from the energy that Dave needed for that. And so,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. It is allowing yourself to follow that pathway. It's funny, I was doing a little, every morning I do a little writing. I always ask, what does my soul want to tell me today? What does my soul want to tell me today? And what was coming through my writing today was a memory of my mentor sharing this story of going with the flow and letting go of control. And
Hmm.
like he was whitewater rafting up, through I think the Colorado River, whatever, and he fell out of the raft, and that's terrifying. What's going to happen? But he just heard his higher self or spirit or whatever say, "Just let go, trust me, just let go." And so he did. And he said it was like the most amazing experience where he was flowing through these rapids and just, every once in a while he put a hand out and it would change his course. And it was like, he said, I could never have, if I was in the fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to die, he
Hmm.
probably would have because he would have stiffened up and he would have been bracing against the
Hmm.
flow of the river. But to really trust, have faith that spirit is guiding me now through this through this rapid. I was like, as I was writing it, I like kind of was it wasn't my story, but I could feel the story,
Hmm.
because life is like that sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just watching the comments come in again.
Mm,
Christina says that I'm finishing off my first solo book about caring for a son with mental illness. I know it will be a
nice.
stepping stone into unimaginable blessings for both of us. Oh, I think so too. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Make sure you get that out in the world. Uh,
Yeah, I actually got
Jocelyn.
chills when I read that. So it though that can be a huge stepping stone and door opener for what the other part of what you're creating. Because I
Hmm.
know like, what my husband created was a hiking cane, but our ultimate dream is to have blind people come to Sedona and we can take them out on the trails. And that is like starting to happen organically because now that he's out there, he's got the cane out there, people are purchasing it.
They
People
want to go
there's
somewhere to use it.
they want I've in the last month we've had two people reach out and say, hey, I'm going to be in Sedona, can we hook up for a hike? And so I'm like, cool, yeah, like I
Hmm.
love like, that's like us starting to live into that vision and that dream.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, keep following that thread because any magic happens. Magic
Mm.
happens. Yeah.
And it's not knowing, like, what your ultimate goal, like I can see my like the vision that was brought to me. Actually, it wasn't a chosen one, this one.
Hmm.
I can see it, and I could, knowing me, push through to get there. But what I'm doing right now is allowing, I can see it. I don't need to know how to get there. I need to just keep moving forward with what I'm given in this moment.
Hmm.
Keep doing that. And that's how, you know, like having hiking groups come to Sedona,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
It's like a totally loose vision, right? It's like that
Hmm.
would be really, wouldn't that be really cool to be able to do that? And then, yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh, here's the possibility of it. And now all we have to do is lean in and create it a little bit more. Like,
Hmm.
we're starting to sketch it out. Like, what would people need to learn? Because
Yeah.
he has developed a whole way of using this cane on the trail as like a hiking pole and a way of feeling the trail
Hmm.
that, and, it's not just like, I mean, there are trails that are wide and safe, and then we go on a lot of rocky ones with like cliff's edges and stuff like that, because he's really, really
And if
good
you're
at
used
feeling
to
it.
just, because you're right, the cane typically, and for those who don't know, Deb's husband is blind and hasn't invented this cane, but it can bear the weight, which most white canes cannot.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I think all. And
Yeah.
and so it's used as a, to sense your way. But Dave loves hiking, and so he has created this cane. Yeah. And so that would be something that most people would have to learn, right? How to use it,
How to use
how
it.
to
Yeah.
how to navigate in the hiking world as a blind
Hmm.
person. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Comments again. Elaine, I think positive energy is the best fighter of fear. I love that. Christina's thanking Jocelyn. Jocelyn, the key for me is letting faith and fear coexist and accepting that I'm afraid, but not letting it dictate my decisions. Yes, that's the
Yes.
answer. That's the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. It's so funny because I was thinking that too somewhere around when we were talking. Like, I can't, like, oh, I didn't realize we were going to be talking about faith and how they're, they're partners in
Hmm.
this together. Yeah, I love that, Jocelyn. And you're really coming through with some some great reframing of how we think about fear, because that's really what this conversation's about, is reframing that fear. We were talking a little bit about urgency too, and like how we're taught in marketing, our businesses to kind of use urgency to get people to sign up for things, and
Hmm.
that kind of stuff too. And I know for me that's a hard thing to do,
Hmm.
because I don't want to generate fear in people. I want people to sign up for the thing I'm offering because they just are so excited. They just can't wait. But it's the money thing that gets in the way. That's what I've learned. And, in doing it my way. There's always going to be a money conversation. It doesn't matter how much money it is. And I think if we can get really honest with ourselves, what is the conversation of money that I have, because until we get right with that, we're always gonna bump into that in our world,
Yeah.
like, and when I choose to not do something, is it really because I
Hmm.
don't have the money, or is it because I choose to not invest my money in that way, or my time, or it's just not the
But then
right thing
what's
for
the
me right
story
now?
that you're telling about it?
Yeah.
If you're typically, it's a choice, right? I choose not to spend my money in that way, but we
Hmm.
tell ourselves we can't afford it,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so again, we're putting ourselves in that space of lack.
Hmm.
And because we're afraid of not having enough. So if we bring it back to fear, we're afraid of not having enough money. So we're not going to spend it on whatever this is, this
Hmm.
program and yet often when we come from that space, we don't have any money because we whittle it away on all the little things,
Hmm.
instead of really stepping into what I can get from this thing, right?
Hmm.
This larger than this program or these specific art supplies or whatever it is, this
Yeah.
car, because we're afraid of what's going to happen. We're not going to have the money. It's too much. And we start telling ourselves all these stories around, money and what that means.
Yeah, and we're putting energy on that. Like we're
Mm,
making money like this evil thing to fear, right? We're
mm,
not making friends with money, right? And so we're actually channeling life force energy to that belief, right?
mm,
And it's funny, I had another thought on that too, and it's like, ooh, it's just wisping away. But um, it's interesting because I think, yeah, this is what it was. When we can get ourselves to move through that fear and just kind of debunk it, really, just
mm,
debunk that fear, right? What is the next fear in line? Is it that like your intuition's just telling you no this program or this thing that that's enticing you a little bit?
mm,
Is it really just not for you at this time, or is it for you and you're just afraid? And so
mm,
you kind of like, I know I have to do that dance too because I came from that place of lack. We never have enough money, but then we did have money for my brother to play hockey and have all that equipment, me to take figure skating lessons and all of that entailed. And so when I look at that, I'm like, well, that doesn't really jive. But I didn't think of it when I was a kid. It's now that I'm an adult. But there
mm,
was that overriding message. So what is that? What do I walk away from now? Looking back on it, I can go, well, okay, it wasn't really that we couldn't afford anything. It was that we were choosing what we were going to invest our money in. And if
mm,
it had value, my kid wants to do this. So that has a value to me. I want to see my kid play this sport and really excel at it. So I'm going to get him the stuff that he needs. And I'm going to choose to use my money in that way, even though it may be a struggle financially for me. Right.
mm.
So it's a choice. And we weren't, but it's almost like lazy to say I can't afford.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
easy, and people are like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you say, I'm choosing not to purchase that, people might question it. People might question why you choose not to. So it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I can't afford it. There's your answer. And it's like, no, it's still a choice, whether you
Yeah.
have the money in the bank or not. It's still a choice to
Yeah.
not purchase it. And I think that's a really, really important distinction to make because it becomes that energy again of lack that we keep
Hmm.
feeding into. That um, belief systems are just that. They're made up. We believe them because,
Yeah. Made up.
you know, we decided to. We didn't come into this world with these belief systems.
Hmm.
We acquired them along the way. And so if we've acquired them, adopted them, taken them as our own, we can also chuck them out and be
Yep.
like, no, that one doesn't work for me. I don't want
Yeah.
that belief system.
Yeah. So sometimes the only way to check them out is to prove them wrong by doing the
Mhm,
thing, right? By doing the thing. And that action to me is rehab because, working with the body and working with people who are moving from, a state of dysfunction into function, the body has to get up and move. Like even if you're doing surgery, think about surgery like a knee surgery. They
mhm,
get you up right away because your goal is going to be like, I just got my knee replaced. It hurts like hell, but I'm going to want to walk on this knee
mhm.
now. So you're setting into motion the action that you want to be doing by doing it now in degrees that the body can handle it, right? So
Yeah.
when we talk about rehab and rehabbing something mentally, right, a way of being or a way of thinking, we get to take the same steps, because we're setting into motion a change of a change of a way of being and a change of a way of thinking and seeing the world from a place of like, I'm a victim of circumstance and everything that happens to me to I'm the master of
Mhm.
my my world. you know
And
yeah
we are. We are, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Elaine, I'm not ignoring you. We just
We
got
just
caught up in
haven't
the
gotten there yet.
conversation.
Yeah.
As a teacher of special needs, I used a lot of positive words to motivate students to try and then to congratulate them on their wins, big or small. Yes, I love that.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then from Elaine as well, the cane is an awesome design and also allows blind people to learn how uh, to feel more able and self-assured. And yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, confidence and empowerment and setting yourself free. I am now doing writing for my husband's company now, and one of the blog posts I wrote is about like your wife called and wants her arm back. That's something my husband always says a lot because it is so easy. Like for him, he'll be the first one to say it's so easy just to grab your arm and have you lead me around. But then what does it do for you and what does it do for me? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And some people just really and he was in that place too, refusing to even to use any kind of cane,
Hmm.
because of what, what does this mean for me? If I use this device, it's going to out me. People are going to know I can't see, or they're going to feel sorry for me or whatever. So it's funny because we're talking about fear and control, and that there is fear and control in those behaviors and those choices that we
Hmm.
make. And it's not just, what we think our creative mission is, if we're here to build a business, if we're here just to create and let people see us create and not make any money out of it. And maybe that's someone's mission out there. And maybe the thought that, oh, if I make my work, if I finish a painting, then people have to see it. And that's scary for me. You know,
Hmm.
it's what would happen if someone saw like your expression of the truth of how you experience life, you
Yeah.
know?
What would happen?
Yeah.
What would
We
happen?
all might start doing stuff like that. Then what would happen to our society?
And it's not unusual that of course we're afraid. Like
Yeah.
it's literally shoved down our throats from day one, right? We're afraid of everything because we've been told to be afraid of everything.
Yeah.
I, I think oh, my daughters laugh at me all the time, but my daughters had babies 13 days apart. So my two oldest granddaughters are 13 days apart.
Oh,
And
cool.
they were when they were pregnant with their first, because they now have other children, I said, don't stress. Babies bounce. This is not something you say to a new mother, I found out.
They're resilient, they bounce.
But like, what mother at some point in the baby, the babies they roll off of something or they fall over or they, when they're pulling themselves up on a table and then they knock themselves. Babies bounce.
They
All right, I'm not
bounce.
saying we should bounce them, but like they're made kind of pliable for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Think
And
about all the human beings on this planet. We all had to survive that.
and I'm not saying that we need to be rough with babies. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
But the fear that you have as a new mother, and it's fed to you, right? About all the things you're going to do wrong and all the
Mhm.
things, like if you don't do this and if you don't do that. And I thought, in my infinite wisdom, that I was being helpful.
Well, you were, right?
It's okay. It's okay. Babies
Yeah.
bounce.
Babies
Yeah.
bounce. I
Which
love
my
that.
daughter now, who has three children, goes, oh yeah, yeah. They just learn resilience. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
The
By
first one,
by
that's not
baby
when you
two
tell them
and
that.
by baby 2 and 3, right? They since I forgot what movie it was. You let them juggle knives because you
Yeah.
just know they're going to be okay.
But yeah, don't tell the new mother that the first
Yeah.
time. But yes,
Yeah.
by the third, they're in full agreement. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. They pretty much
Hmm.
raised themselves by that point. So
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
it's a thing. But it's true. We are so fed fear around everything that we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust that we've got it. We don't trust that we can do it. We don't trust that, it's going to be okay
Hmm.
because every turn we take, we're told to be afraid.
Yeah. 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 And I think too, like when you start this journey of creating whatever it is, like even if you just say, I want to create more joy in my life, you have to let go of the things that stop you from feeling joy. And that could be scary,
Hmm.
it could be scary. Some of the things that we do that, um, even though we want the joy, it's blocking our joy because it's something safe about whatever the behavior is, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, it's we want to look at too, like, what am I risking by taking these steps towards my joy, you know? Or actually, it's more like, I don't like to say it that way because you're not really walking towards joy. You're just releasing it from you because it's already there. You're just letting
Mhm.
yourself have the experience. And, with clarity too, because we have this weird understanding that, like, if joy, the way joy is going to be is everything that's going to happen to me is just going to be joyous. No, that's not it. It's like, can I still find my joy in this situation? At Christmas time when your family members are going crazy, can you still find joy in that? Not in the action, but within yourself. Can you find
Mhm.
your joy? And I think we get that mixed up, thinking that, joy, living in a joyful world, or it is something that happens out here that comes into here, but it really is the opposite. Everything starts here,
Mhm.
and then we create it outside of us. So
Yeah.
if, there's a bunch of us that, I mean, that are awake. If you're on this call, I'm going to say that you're awake, and there's a bunch more of us awakening. And so that energy is shifting a lot of things. And so we're feeling this chaos in
Mm.
the field. If you get caught up in the chaos and go, oh my God, it's chaos, and I'm going to be hurt, something's going to happen, I'm going to pull back, I'm going to withdraw, I'm going to hide, then it that time becomes more tumultuous. But if you go, okay, well, when things start to transform, or when things start to shift, chaos is a natural part of creation. And so I'm going to trust that spirit has all of this, that we all, like, on our multidimensional level, know what we're doing, even though it's all a crapshoot. That
The figuring
we
out part is the crapshoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That we just stay connected with
Mhm.
the truth of who we are and keep moving forward, knowing that that's you being the point of the spear. You're just being the point of the spear. So there's
Yeah.
stuff.
It just as you were talking about that made me think about September. I had an episode that happened that I could have very much, I got sick, and I don't want to say I did it to myself, but it was not listening that caused it, which I have a tendency to do. I'm not really good at listening when I'm supposed to. It's more like, don't tell me what to do. And I joke about this because I have been labeled oppositional defiance, um, which I even tell my own self, don't tell me what to do. So it's not,
Hmm.
even spirit, like I'm going to argue, right? Anyways, I had an incident in September, ended up quite sick in the hospital, and I could have left that situation going, no, I can't keep going. I can't keep doing my own business. I can't, I need to be looked after. All the things I could have told myself and probably would have 5, 10 years ago. But I left it going, oh my goodness, I am so ready to listen. And the shift was immense. And that's what made me literally fall on my face. Um, and now it's amazing, amazing what has opened up. And so just allowing, instead of going immediately into that fear, and you and I have talked about this a fair bit, that allowing has changed everything,
Hmm.
right? And I didn't think I was in a bad place, but I was fighting, and I knew I was fighting. I knew I was fighting with spirit. I knew that I wasn't listening. Like, I was aware that I was not listening. I was not going to be told what to do. Guess what? I was going to be told what to do. So I'm listening. I'm listening
Yes.
now.
Surrender, surrender, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm just there was some other Cecilia.
Yeah.
Are you getting this message? Yes. I like the idea of Montessori education where they
Mhm.
actually get to experience. Yes. How do I get on video? Like for your own self? Um, so Christina has to go. Have a great conversation. Have a lovely evening. And chaos actually has a pattern. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
so you guys won't be on camera because we're on a private Zoom meeting that we're streaming into YouTube. So
mhm.
you guys are actually watching this through YouTube. So you're using YouTube chat to communicate with us. So there is like a layer of like another
Yeah, it's not like a
program, I
private
guess.
space that we're in
Yeah,
together. So
yeah,
we can't do that,
yeah,
not here.
yes.
But please put whatever you have to say in the chat and we will.
Yeah, yeah. And chaos, yeah, everything has a pattern. Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Chaos isn't as it just feels, it has a feel to it. But
Hmm.
everything in the universe has an order to it, right? And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, I'm a nerd about this stuff. I could go on. I think I'm going to pull myself back and stay on topic with fear.
Yeah. But
I'm
it's
a
true.
science
And
nerd.
we're taught to fear. I mean, the reason we're taught to fear is because we're easier to control with fear, right?
Hmm.
So we just stay the course and we do the things we're supposed to, and we go to our job and we go to our school and we do the things we're supposed to. And it makes it easier for the system,
Hmm.
because when we buck the system, as they say, it causes a whole new level of chaos.
Right.
But doing the things,
Right.
it's literally killing us. And so we need to buck the system for our own health,
Hmm.
to live this life, because we cannot live from, there's a lot of flashing going on with the, and it's saying we're in, we're out.
I know. I'm
So
like
if,
watching on both screens. Like,
I'm
what was
like,
that flash?
we're still here, regardless of what's
Here. Yeah.
happening.
Hmm.
Apologies, there seems to be some sort of system glitch. And but yes, that I lost my train of thought because there were so many things flashing.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think that yes, I did too. So we were talking about bucking the system and
Oh, how it's killing us if we don't, right?
right.
So
Yeah.
we're afraid to do anything other than what we are told to do.
Hmm.
But why do we think we have so much depression, so much anxiety, our high suicide rates, all of these things, mental health, our physical dis-ease in our body? It's
Right.
because we are afraid to live.
Hmm. When you look at the higher elevations too of the top the leaders of our countries, the top, what is it, 10%, 1% that have the wealth. There's a fear on that level too, the fear of losing power,
Mhm.
because power, the definition of power in the material world is totally different than the energetic world. And that's part of what's shifting in us is we're understanding that physics, talking about physics, quantum physics, that the reality we're experiencing right now in the world of matter is only 0.0000, lots of zeros in a one
Mhm.
percent of all that there is. And we're so invested in it as a reality. And fear is part of that. So the more we start doing our work and allowing the walk with spirit, that walk of faith with
Mhm.
spirit, that's the rehab through it, to come to the other side of it.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, Elaine, sometimes you have to flow with the chaos. Don't try to control it. Don't try to control it. That's never
Yeah.
going to work,
You're
right?
just going to hurt yourself.
Quite literally. So, yes, it's all about letting go, really,
Yeah.
because fear is what makes us hold on so tight.
Hmm.
And so we need to let go and just give up control. And I
Yeah.
know if you're someone like myself who as a child had no control and so many things happened to me, I
Hmm.
went immediately, as soon as I could, I left home at 14, into controlling everything around me, or attempting to. You have
Hmm.
no control, it's an illusion. But I attempted to control everything and everyone around me
Hmm.
until I couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so control is an illusion.
Hmm.
whether it's
Totally.
someone else controlling you or you controlling someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love us all to like, as we're moving into the solstice, into the longest night of the year of the season, that, we go into the depths of ourself, the depths, and be in communion with our soul and really ask that question, what are some of the fears that I am keeping alive, that I am investing my life force energy into, that I could start pulling back a little bit. And you don't have to do it like black and white. Just the awareness alone starts the shift. And so, yeah, I'm going to encourage you guys as we're moving into 2024, like, what are some of those things that I can shift from fear to faith, that I can start being in faith about this thing, not knowing, letting go of the control, a list. I love the list because it gets us brainstorming, and not from a place of blame and not from a place of, being wrong or even a place of superiority, that, from a place of humbleness, like really, spirit, show me where I take up the reins when I should be letting go, and really earnestly ask for that. You may not get it when you're sitting down to write it, but it may pop in if you just sit in the question. That's something I like to do.
Mhm.
I tend to not perform when I'm sitting down and trying to make a list, but if I let that question just kind of work on me, I really do start to see it, and then maybe I'll write about it. So like that's that gentleness of creation, finding your way through creation. We all do it differently, as many as this of many of us as there are. There's a myriad of ways to create, and not one is right and not one is wrong.
Regardless of what anybody tells you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only wrong is like not doing it.
Yeah, that's definitely the wrong. That's definitely
Yeah.
the wrong.
Not letting yourself. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe like the time goes so fast when we're chatting. I can't
Right.
believe it.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share or anything going on in your world that you want people to know about?
Yeah, not, I'm just still in this like resting phase, and I have a lot of stuff coming up. One of the things that is coming really through very strongly is when I before I started doing my online business, thank you, COVID miracle. That's how when I started my business, I was doing private retreats here in Sedona. So I am looking at starting that back up again as
Mhm.
part of yeah, of what I'm offering, having just a, one-on-one here in Sedona, doing work on the land and healing work, or it's like, to me it's like ascension work, because when we're bringing in the new energies, sometimes our physical body can't hold it, and so some of the work that I do is help move that energy so that you can start walking in the new way that you're here to do, and working with the land in the shamanic way that we do, and then kind of putting in the creative expression too. It's really transformative, and very potent when you're invested in yourself time wise in that way. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I'll be kind of offering in the new year as I start moving back into working. And the other thing I just really want to say is how grateful I am for all of you showing up on the lives every third week of the month. We've been doing this like well over a year now,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I just love it. And I really love and thank you guys so much for interacting and sharing yourselves in the chat. It really just makes this conversation a conversation, and
Mhm.
it just gets so deep and so rich. So I
Because
know
we can talk. We can
we can
talk, no
talk.
problem. We do it every week. So we'd love to include you. That's why we came here live, so we could share this conversation. Because we do, we get together every week and have these deep, meaningful conversations. And at one point we went, we really should be sharing these conversations. And so that's why we're here. And that's why we love when you jump in with your comments and we can communicate with you and have the conversation with you.
So what are you working on? What are you putting out there?
Well, you would never know that Yule is on Thursday and today is Monday, and I have not done any promotion for that, but we will be having our Yule ritual, so watch for that. Thursday, it's
You're
free.
all invited.
Yeah, you're all invited. It is
You
free,
all
it's online.
invited.
But I have to laugh because you were talking about in person, and I've been fighting the in person for a long time. And I keep getting the little, nudge. I need to be doing in person. No, no, I'm happy online. Nope, you need to
Mhm.
be doing in person. And
Yep.
so I did an event last week, and it was amazing, amazing. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to do in person. So watch, I will be having some in-person events this in 2024. I'm not too sure what that's going to look like yet, but I definitely will be doing some local things. And then we've got some things planned, one in Vancouver in May, and we might be doing one in the States. I think you and I might be doing one in Sedona. So
Yes.
2024 is going to be a lot of live events, it looks like. So
Hmm.
watch for that. And yeah, other than that, I'm getting prepared to take a week off, spend it with my grandkids, and enjoy the holiday season, whatever that looks like for you. And yeah, and then off to California for some sunshine for
Awesome.
New Year's.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, depending on, if you're celebrating Christmas, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, and a happy, happy, happy New Year, because we'll see you in the new year for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Happy holidays to everyone, whatever you're celebrating. And we are so happy that you join us. And we will be back next month, the third week of January. And I look forward to